Welcome to the bench. We do have some news for everybody. Along with the World Wrestling Entertainment and the NFL Network, we have been lumped into a deal to be acquired by ESPN. They paid us $20 a piece. For us, that's a success. So we are very excited about that we've gotten paid for the podcast with the work that we put in. So we're happy to be a part of the ESPN Network. Obviously, this is all unjust because if we got acquired by them, they would really be tanking more than they already are. For this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about some true title contenders. We've talked about the conferences and the Power 5 conferences, talked about the different teams, but really want to get into who is going to be clashing to achieve and holding that trophy. Who is really going to be a true contender? Let's start off from the top. Sam, give us one of your contenders. I'm sure we're going to agree on a lot, but maybe there won't be. Maybe there'll be something in there. We don't do a lot of pre-work. We're observing what we see from the bench perspective.
Well, I mean, clearly I've got to start off in saying the top two contenders in the country are Arkansas and Kentucky, based solely on our interactions with their fan base.
Yes. Right. We don't know what we're talking about, though. We are clueless. We live under a rock.
From three closeted Kentucky fans.
Yep.
Who have sung nothing but praises for Kentucky basketball. And then obviously, we don't know ball enough to know that Calipari is the greatest coach in the history of the game.
To be fair, Jake is wearing Kentucky blue right now.
He is wearing Kentucky blue. So yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and start there. Yeah, my number 1 and 2 right there, Arkansas and Kentucky. I can't wait to see them get exited in the round of 32. But yeah, we'll go ahead and just get that out of the way. Now, who I want to talk about as my number 1 overall, and you guys know this, it's going to be Purdue, but as a Purdue fan, I cannot hold myself to that level of optimism. So I am going to go with the best coach in the effing sport, Dan Hurley's UConn. And I'm going to say that just because, they are just a well-built, well-coached team. I still think they have some liabilities on defense and rebounding, but big-time freshman Braylon Mullins coming in. You got Caravan coming in for his 17th year in college basketball. You got Damari, you got Solo Ball, you got Terrace Reed. You just got a hell of a lineup. You got some good folks coming off the bench. And it's coached by a guy who's won a national title twice in the last 3 years and gave Florida, the eventual national champions, a run for their money and was really just a last 5-minute meltdown away from advancing.
Yep.
So this is a team that I really think can do it. They're built well. They're coached well. They have a pretty tough schedule that's going to get them ready. And then when they get into conference play, it kind of just lays a flat egg. But they got some fun games. I think they play. Do they play Florida?
Yeah.
At Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Isn't that
it's going to be close to a home game for them.
Yeah, I think I saw that on our ESPN, or not really acquired parent company.
Our sister company.
But no, I was looking at their schedule, and when it gets in the conference play, it's going to break really well. So they're going to get a high seed, a natural high seed. They're going to be a 2, 3, 4. Off chance they're number 1. But this is a team you don't want to see in the tournament. You haven't wanted to see them in the tournament for the last few years. They came in as a 4 a couple years ago and just stormed through the tournament. And then the year they won it against my Boilers, just an absolute buzzsaw. Again, trust in Dan Hurley as much as I don't want to.
Yeah. I'm not near as high on UConn as you are. I think they're an outside shot to win it, but I do love everything about this team, and I think Hurley is a true tournament coach. I think that's where he shines the most. Not so much in the regular season, but he absolutely shines. And specifically March Madness tournament, the Maui Invitational was not kind.
Not friendly. Not friendly.
But I think his head was somewhere else then, too. But this team has a ton of talent. I think adding Malachi Smith is just the killer addition that nobody is really talking about. And the fact that Caravan decided to come back really added another level, another shooter to this team. And so now you have 3 deadly shooters. And then you bring in Demery from Georgia, who's just a stud player when he's on. UConn's going to need him to be on all the time. And if they can survive November and part of December, they're going to be coasting into a 1 or 2 seed because the Big East is not that great. And the fact that they get St. John's twice will help them up because if they sweep that, then you're looking at a 1 seed probably because one of those two teams will end up with the 1 seed, and so it's probably whoever. If either one of them sweep, that's who it'll be, or wins 2 out of 3 when they meet in the Big East tournament. So that's obviously the easiest route there is to be a 1 seed. UConn has a very good chance of getting there.
Yeah,
Well, I do want to mention real quick that Malachi Smith has a ton of potential. He's a former Dayton Flyer, which little hint at next episode, talking about some mid-major action. This is for free. I can give you my Venmo if you really want to know this. But I feel like Malachi Smith would have been a good Portal King choice.
it wouldn't have been a bad one.
Yeah.
I just don't think the scoring opportunities are going to be there for him. I think that you got too many other scorers out there.
Yeah. Oh, they're not short on scoring for UConn. They do though. They just the leadership down. The top down short fuse happens.
I got word that Braylon Mullins is in his dorm room right now and is still within range.
Hey, that's funny. Okay, other than UConn,
I think really the basketball world this year kind of starts and ends with Houston. You kind of look at a coach who's had much less talented teams and got more out of them, and now you probably got his most talented team ever coming in. They just came off a Final Four win, the championship appearance where they were ahead at halftime. Now you give him, 2 of his top 3 scorers back, 2 of his top 3 shooters, and add some more talent around that. It's going to be tough, and the schedule, he scheduled well. It worked out great, but like the non-conference, they do the Players Era tournament. They grab Syracuse and Tennessee, and then +1. Who knows who the +1 will be? You got Auburn and Arkansas. You've got 4 pretty decent teams there, plus probably a 5th one you're going to see. And you're going into a good Big 12 that has BYU, Arizona, Baylor, Cincy, Texas Tech. All of them are very, very, very good, and especially the ones they have to go on the road. And then I think they're going to be very battle tested. They're going to come through. You've got a coach who is fantastic at. He should have had more Final Fours than he has now because he had those random freak injuries on teams that were clearly better than who they were playing, and he couldn't win that game. And then finally got there last year, got a taste of it, and this team is just way loaded with too much talent for them not to be the top dog on the sport.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. The only reason I gave UConn a slight nudge, because I'm pretty set in my top 6, but I gave UConn a slight nudge over Houston. I think Houston's the better team. 100%. And Houston's got a hell of a coach. UConn just got a guy who's done it twice in the last couple of years, right? And so, you got to take that into account. Sampson's been at the doorstep a few times. Houston's one of those teams where if they want it all and it's not my Boilers, I could stomach it because, they're due. That's a program that is just absolutely due. Kellen Sampson, when he was at IU, and I'm a passionate dislike for most IU fans. Not the program, but IU fans. But you like the guy. He coaches teams well. He builds teams well. And he's got Uzan coming back who can get away with a charge. We all know that.
I was waiting for that.
He's got Emmanuel Trev. He's got 2 top 20 freshmen coming in. This is a well-built team. This is not a team you want to see in the tournament, and they're going to play defense. They're going to give you 40 minutes of hell.
The only issue is it seems to be constant with these Kevin Simpson teams is depth. I don't know that they can withstand and you would have thought he would have learned by now. He can't withstand an injury. The team, any one player of the top 6 or 7 goes down, it is a major drop off because you're looking at the other returners on this team. You had Raymond Walker, who played 8 games and averaged 11 minutes as being your most per minute. But then you had Cedric Lath and Mercy Miller, who both played 20 games but played under 10 minutes a game.
Yep.
So there's not a lot of depth here. He obviously thinks I can run it with 7, 6.5, 7, maybe 8, and after that,
stay healthy.
That's a big risk, but
yeah,
it's one of those that he likes it the way he is, and he's extremely successful. I don't know that he expected Francis and Arsenault to leave. I think that was kind of surprising.
No.
I don't think he quite replaced those guys.
Yeah, but
could you imagine if one of those 2 stayed?
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
I thought that this conversation would be a little bit different. Houston would be, if one of those guys staying would put them at the top.
But who knows? And the other one we got to talk about is Purdue, and we kind of went into them pretty good a couple episodes back. But the thing that I've got that I didn't really get into last time was I think of your top tier teams, their ceiling is the lowest, but their floor is the highest. You know what you're getting out of Braden Smith and TKR and those guys. There's not a lot of question marks here because it's just how much better does CJ Cox and Jakari Harris and Jacobson, how much better did they get? But you know what their floor is. You know that they're going to be a second weekend team in all likelihood and probably in the Elite Eight fighting with whoever. But did they get good enough improvement out of the guys who didn't play a ton last year? And Meyer, does he go from being a ball dominant to not really even projected to start? Does he make that adjustment well enough for them to go from 2016 Elite Eight to the 4 in the championship? Like, it's that kind of thing. Like, you know where their floor is at. It's that second weekend and probably the Elite Eight. Is the ceiling high enough to get past that?
Well, Sam, I know you're itching, but what my one comment I have to say about this, I think this sums it up. I was talking to another Purdue fan just this past weekend. This season will have a huge impact on Matt Painter's legacy if it does not result in at least maybe a last second loss in the Elite Eight. I could even say a Final Four or bust. I feel like this is his chance to shine. This is what we've all thought that Matt Painter could build. This is what we all hoped that would happen. But this is the most balanced team he's ever had. But I'm not a Purdue homer. I respect what they do, but they've also torn my ass up a few times. That's my biggest thing. This is Matt Painter's year to make himself a true, I don't even want to say like a legend of the game. I don't want to be that dramatic, but like a prominent coach in the coaching lore. And that's just through my lens.
Now, I'm talking about Purdue whenever I get an opportunity. I went there, very familiar with the program, had the opportunity to work with Gene Katie for a bit. I'm in love with these guys. I'm in love with the school, the history, and all that fun stuff. But I turned my hat around. You can see it says, been there, done that. It's from the Indiana State Fair here. And the reason I do that is because we've had great teams. And we had the Big Dog era. We had the Baby Boilers. We had the 23-24 team that was just like an absolute buzzsaw until they got up to UConn.
Wait, Sam, hang on a minute. I think Megan's calling. She wants to talk about her experience.
Yeah. Well, Megan was at the FDU game, so she is just a basketball savant.
We've lost connection with Megan. I don't know what happened to Megan. Maybe she'll call back.
Megan is probably watching tape from the FDU game that she was at because that was the most important thing that she's ever done in her life, but it's also made her immune from any criticism. So we're not allowed to come at her because she was at the FDU game.
That's right.
It's
just kind of keep that in mind, gentlemen, when we're talking about Megan. Anyway, back to Purdue.
Hey, listen, cheers, Megan. Thank you.
Cheers, Slancha.
We appreciate you, Megan. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Yeah. We appreciate you.
Hope you tune in. Anywho, Purdue's getting a lot of national attention, and rightfully so. To your point, this is a legacy building team for Matt Painter. Matt Painter is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame coach. Won multiple Big Tens. He's won a couple of Big Ten tournaments. He's a great ambassador for the game. He says the right things all the time. And like everybody loves him. And everybody loves him, but it does not change the monkey that is on his back. That he just hasn't been able to get it done in March. And we talked about it. I mentioned that they lost to a 14 seed because we thought North Texas was a 14. That turns out they haven't, but I'm not 100% sure if that's like bragging rights for a Purdue fan when I said they've lost to an 11. We'll go ahead and omit the 14 just so we're right. But let's not brag on that, boys. It's wearing the gold and black means you have to wear losses to St. Peter's, to FDU, to North Texas, to was it Little Rock? We lost to Little Rock. We've had some just bad beats, and a lot of people like to predict we probably weren't making the tournament in the COVID year, probably. So looking at this team, yeah, it's well balanced. You can do an effective line change with this team. Where my concerns are is Braden Smith playing 40 minutes a game and Omar Meyer not buying in. CJ Cox and Jakari Harris not developing the same way that Cam Heidi and Miles Colvin didn't. Daniel Jacobson being like freshman Zach Edey, where it's like you saw some signs there that he was going to be all right, but like you still had the hands and feet issue. I think Oscar Clough's going to fit, but here's my concern is how does TKR fit with Clough and Jacobson on the floor? Because TKR's success came with him being the 5, the biggest guy on the court, and allowed him room to cook. If he can get that 15-foot floater, that 12-foot floater going, he's going to be unstoppable because Braden Smith's going to hit him on that pocket pass. The pick and roll is going to be rolling like crazy. They're going to have shooting everywhere. I'm just curious to see how well this team works together. And I think we're going to see it in some big games early on because, they've got that preseason scrimmage against Kentucky. So the Kentucky fans, where I've already mentioned you're a national title contender.
Correct. I'm going to show up there.
Yeah. That's going to be a kind of fun lessons learned. And then when they get in the season, they got Marquette, they got Iowa State, they got
Probably,
2 games that we're going to is Bama and Auburn.
yeah.
Those are going to be fantastic games against 2 top SEC teams.
And
We're going to learn a lot
they'll get
about them
Texas
before
Tech.
that.
In all likelihood, in whatever the tournament thing that they're in, the Baja
The Baja Mar, yeah.
they'll get Texas Tech probably out of that, not Wake. Which, if Texas Tech is as good as people are saying they should be,
Yeah.
Purdue, and that's another feather in their cap. Painter doesn't run for people.
No.
He's been impressed with the scheduling.
Yes.
That should be something that's
Aggressive.
talked about more. That he doesn't run from anybody, and he will always put. If he thinks he's got a good team, he will absolutely drag them through a gauntlet to see what they're worth. And maybe that's why he doesn't get there in the end. Is they're like, I don't know, Mark Few gets to escape this criticism because he comes out of a mid-major, but they play nobody all year, and then he doesn't get the same criticism that Painter is, and Painter's going through a gauntlet Big Ten plus the non-conference he goes through.
Yep.
And like that Texas Tech, if they wind up playing Texas Tech, which honest to God, I am so sick of winning in tournament or in season tournaments because it just does not translate to March. Like, congratulations, we won like 4 or 5 in a row. I'd like to see us maybe lose a close game to Texas Tech if we play them with 2 potential National Player of the Years on the floor. Which would be a fun game to watch. But yeah, like Purdue going into the year, a top team. I think it's a Final Four bust team. I think with the teams we mentioned, UConn, Houston, Purdue, those are 3 teams I would not be shocked as number ones at the end of the year, and meeting in the Final Four somewhere. But I also like with who else we're probably going to talk about in the top 6 in the country, they might not be a number 1 seed. I mean, they're going to be a good team. They're going to be well battle tested coming into the tournament. So yeah, I'm with you. I like Purdue.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of mine, I've got Florida, which is we just went through that.
Obviously, we just went through Florida. We don't need to talk about their asses anymore.
I think they've got a more talented team than they did last year. And they just won.
Yeah.
So,
I'd actually prefer not to talk about it if we could.
Then I had St. John's there as kind of a stretch.
I wonder if that was going to be tossed around. I was wondering if that was going to get brought up.
Because I really, Pitino is one of my favorite just basketball coaches. Just the way he coaches, the style and runs, it just makes it fun. I really enjoy it.
He loves an Applebee's. I tell you, he loves an Applebee's.
He's willing to do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
And get those recruits in, no matter what it takes and who he's got to pay. But
maybe it's a Denny's.
That style with the team he's put together stands a good chance. It reminds me of some of those Louisville teams that he was very successful with. We kind of went through them in that episode, but if they can figure out how to survive when the game gets slow, they will be a very dominant force. I just worry that it's going to be a little bit too much solo ball, kind of
not actually solo,
kind of pun intended.
Yeah,
they literally have to play. But in the half court, I think it's going to be a little bit too much isolation.
Yeah,
but who knows? If he can get something out of Ian Jackson and Joe Farm, whatever his name is, that team is already with Dylan Mitchell and Bryce Hopkins. That's 4 guard-esh players that are. It's going to be hard to contend with and can spread you out. Like as good of a coach as he's got, and the fact that the Big East is going to get credit for being the Big East, even though it's a weaker one, he'll get a higher seed and have an easier path. I don't know. There's still a lot that has to come together because this is a new team, basically.
Right.
Yep.
But also, one thing about St. John's is, and I know this is a little bit deviating from the topic, but like they should get more TV time. They don't get many slots. They don't really get a lot of
Garden too.
They're
playing in the Garden too.
They split half their games from the Garden and their actual home gym, which I like their actual home gym better.
Yeah,
because it feels like the crowd is 2 inches from the floor.
Yeah.
Dying to see a game there.
Yes.
when they're good. So
That'd be a fun road trip. We need to go see a game at a potential Final Four St. John's team. That'd be fun.
I would love that.
It's probably not a cheap ticket.
Maybe when ESPN renews our contract, we can make that a priority.
Mm-hmm.
put that in as a writer.
So St. John's, we want to say. I mean, I'm totally cool with saying that they're a contender.
Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
agree on that. Sam, are you on the same boat?
I think so. So, like, there's two other teams that I would probably lump in, and I'm like, look, I think you guys talked about BYU when I was in Canada, and I think I like the BYU team, but I don't see them as a national title contender. I think they're a well-built, very athletic team.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just gonna gloss over them, and like they're in like the top 7 of everybody's power rankings. But I go back to two teams that I really like that are within 2 hours in each direction of us is Louisville and Michigan, and those are two teams that I just absolutely love. Yeah, St. John's is up there. Like, would not be surprised if the Big East produces 2 number 1 seeds because they're probably going to have one loss apiece in conference play, and it's going to be when they play at each other's arenas.
That's a fair point. That's a good point.
But then I go to Louisville, the best team in their state, which is going to piss off a lot of folks. Louisville is going to be a fun team to watch, and I think they're going to be extremely dangerous.
Yep.
And then Michigan, I've talked about Michigan at length. That Jake, you and I discussed that during the Big Ten. I think they have a National Player of the Year candidate in Yaxel. I think
Grade A stud.
this team is going to just beat the hell out of you. Whether you win or lose, you're going to know you played Michigan. So those are two teams that I see as like, look, I think our locks are all lined up. I think Purdue, I think Houston are like two top-tier teams that everybody in the whole country can agree on. I think UConn, I think we're a little gray on, Jake.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little high on them just because of the UConn name. Whereas like maybe St. John's has probably a better like shot from a talent perspective, but I just can't discredit anything Dane Hurley does, and I've seen Braylon Mullins play, and that kid is just an absolute sharpshooter, and I know who they're bringing back. So yeah, I'm landing like if I'm picking 6 or 7, I'm gonna round them off with Louisville and Michigan because those two teams are just absolutely phenomenal, and they're both a quick drive for us, Jake. So if we ever want to go check them out, we can go to the Yum Center or Ann Arbor.
I could meet you on Louisville. I love Louisville.
That's Jeffersonville. That is right across the bridge.
The metropolis that it is.
It's a ville, and it might as well be Evans, but it's Jeffersonville. That's right across the bridge to the deep south of Louisville, Kentucky. The deep south, the rebels, if you will.
I would have had Louisville up there. Kelsey's got to get the monkey off his back of winning a game in the tournament. That hasn't happened, or he might have won one. So
yeah, he did this last year, didn't he?
I think they lost their opening round.
Yeah, we're going to get scorched if we're wrong on that, so we'll say maybe.
Anyway, he's got to win. He's not won more than one game in a tournament, and I wanted to see that before I'm saying you're a contender. Like talent-wise and how good of a coach I think he is, yes. But you got to at least see the second weekend once before I say you're in position to get to the title.
They're playing in what I would consider a now characteristically weak ACC.
And then with the rumors, North Carolina's got the handshake deal to join the SEC.
North Carolina's got oh my God, we got to talk about that. That's an episode because.
Oh no, it's not. There's not it. I thought that's a different thing. I think that is a pipe dream.
About that.
It's the only state in the South that the SEC doesn't have a foothold in.
Anybody else? Do you have anything to chime in on those teams, Brad? Is there anybody you want to include that we haven't mentioned?
Unfortunately, I can't, but I can say that Pat Kelsey is 0 wins and 5 losses in the NCAA.
To be fair, he's coming in from this is the first power conference team he's had.
Correct.
It's not like he was getting 6, 7, 8 seeds and losing to a team he was coming in as 10, 11, 12 and just wasn't able to pull an upset off.
Yeah.
Like he was getting shell shocked every time.
So I don't have a team to add, and I hate to be the negative or maybe just the devil's advocate. I think UConn has the greater chance of falling short of expectations of any team that you all mentioned today. I think UConn has the biggest area to fall, and part of that is Hurley. Last year he was so mouthy. I know that's shocking coming from just the wholesome character that he is, but he was so outspoken. I feel like there was a locker room issue. Now that's just me being on the bench, observing, watching games, knowing how a locker room works, knowing how a basketball program runs. Something felt off. Now maybe it's all kumbaya and they've all mended those things, and there's some good, there's some decent leadership now. Hopefully, as players on the team, maybe they will show up. But for me, that's going to be one of those teams that I would almost be willing to say will not finish the season in the top 15.
Really?
I think their floor, like that, they could fall so quick. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that last year was not the best. I don't know. I think they got really high on themselves very quickly. And this is as a program, not just with this team. This is a different team. I understand that. But that stuff is contagious. Now, if they come with a chip on their shoulder and they come in, they're coming ready to fight, watch out, because that might be your team. They may not lose all year. But at the same time, they could fall very quickly.
Coming in at like a 15 would mean that they would have to have a really rough conference play.
Yeah.
Because I think there's only like 2 or 3 losses up to December, maybe January, that are just like that are possible with this UConn team. And they got a tough non-conference schedule, but when they get into conference play, I think St. John's is their only real competition.
I mean,
But
Mark,
to your point, if they start losing, if they lose all the non-conference games that are going to be tough, and they struggle at all in conference play, if they give one up to like a Xavier or a Butler or something like that, can you imagine? Those are going to be tough beats. And you're right. Like if you can't shake things like that, that stuff's contagious. That gets you thinking in the locker room. I'm not sure if you remember the 22-23 Purdue team had a rough end of the season. And they had that Northwestern loss, and I think that shook them all the way through the tournament and caused the FDU loss. I mean, the way they collapsed at the end of that game was reminiscent of what was going on with FDU. So you translate that over to this year with this UConn team. If that happens, you're right. Could be bad. I mean, I'm going to trust in Hurley, who again, I don't like the dude. 2 national titles in 3 years is pretty big deal, and with the team that he's assembled, yeah, he can absolutely do it, but they're young, and so if that thought process of like, oh, we just got our mouths slapped, kind of catches on with some of these young guys, they might not know how to get out of it.
But if the SEC is going to be this, if they're going to be a juggernaut again, then there's going to be, I mean, that's going to take up a whole lot of space in that top 15.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's a lot of media hype from the company that bought us here for the SEC for a lot of things that.
We're going to get sued by one of our 146 viewers.
Yeah,
we're a company man.
It's a joke. They did not, in fact, purchase us, but I do think that they kind of blow some steam the SEC's way. I don't know that the SEC is as good to eat those top 15 spots up. I think you're more likely to see 15 to 25 be like 80% SEC versus the top 50.
That's a good point.
And St. John's, I would have thought you would have said St. John's is because you're looking at a completely new team, and if it doesn't go right, it goes wrong in a hurry. That's why I said
I'm driving with Patino before I would Hurley. I
don't know.
Maybe it's symptomatic that we're leaning on 2 Big East teams as potential not meet expectations because of how weak their overall conference is.
Yeah.
Maybe that's kind of where our mindset is.
Maybe. Very well.
Like, I think that's going to be our problem. That's why we haven't mentioned, outside of Louisville, we haven't mentioned Duke. Yeah. And I think Duke has got a really well put together team. But again, they're playing, like, if they don't meet expectations through January, when they get into conference play, nobody's going to care if they beat UNC twice. Nobody's going to care if they beat, Clemson. Some of these, power conferences get into their conference schedules, like, people are going to tune out. Like, does anybody really want to watch St. John's and UConn play Butler or Xavier? Does anybody want to watch
Florida State and Miami? Do you care about that anymore?
Yeah. Does anybody want to watch Duke play Notre Dame? Or, I'm just kind of saying, like, when we like Purdue, Michigan, that's going to be must-see TV. Tennessee, Florida is going to be must-see TV. Auburn, Alabama is going to be must-see TV. I mean, we got these, like, big conferences playing big games. But until, UConn plays St. John's, does anybody care what they're doing in conference play?
I mean,
Unless,
maybe
to
Marquette.
Brad's point, they lose to a team that they're not supposed to lose to, and then people start maybe paying attention.
I feel like we're overlooking Marquette. Marquette is one, Smart is a good coach. Two,
That's true.
or is returning a lot of a team that did very well last year.
Yep.
I think it's very clearly UConn St. John's and then a big step down to Marquette. But going to Marquette and just assuming that's a win is a mistake at no
I
matter
agree.
who they have on their team.
You know who Marquette's visiting this year?
Yeah. Yep, I know. That's what I said. Painter doesn't run from anybody.
I mean, that's a team that just absolutely beat the brakes off of Purdue last year. Now, granted, they had
What team was that, Sam? We couldn't hear you.
Purdue.
I've heard about them.
Yeah, the Boilermakers. Yeah, they got They went into Marquette and came out different. They got absolutely dog walked, but there was a gentleman on that Marquette team that now plays for the Pacers. So maybe it's a different look. I don't think Marquette's a title contender, but I don't think they're like in our categories and not going to meet expectations. In fact, I think they'll exceed expectations. I wouldn't be shocked if they gave Purdue a run for their money and Mackey. Mackey's a tough place to play. It's a fun place to watch a basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
I think Marquette will hear every ounce of that. So it'll be battle tested going into conference play.
Yeah, I just like I said, the Big East is weak from I think Marquette down is very weak, but I just didn't want to throw Marquette out, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I don't think it's a guaranteed win. With St. John's and UConn playing Marquette, I don't think it's a guarantee. I think it's going to be like that 24 season where Marquette played UConn and everybody got excited because like maybe this is going to be the team that derails UConn, and then UConn beat them by 7,800 points. So it was just like it was the most thorough beatdown I've ever seen in conference play outside of like the Michigan Purdue game at Mackey last year, where like I was nervous going into that, and 10 minutes in, Jake texted me and was like, "How are we feeling right now?" After we had a 30-point lead with 2 minutes left in the half. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. So, but yeah, no, I don't think you can throw Marquette out.
So we kind of gave their, we talked about the title contenders. I kind of feel like, given how much we talked about these Power 5 conferences and these big time opportunities, what about some top players out of the Power 5 conferences that could be maybe Player of the Year candidates? Do you all have some folks in mind?
I'll let Jake start this one off because he's got higher opinions of certain players than I do.
Like I think the one that we didn't really touch on much or anything, but Bennett Stritz, however you say his name, Sturts, yeah, that dude, like he was throwing up crazy numbers last year, threw up crazy numbers in the tournament, and he's playing for the same coach at a new school.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about fit or anything. You already know how that system works. He's playing basically for the same team. He's going to have an incredibly high usage rate, and he's going to shoot a ton of threes. He averaged 19, 4, and almost 6 last year. I could see those numbers going up, and it's not a stretch because he's going to be in closer games than he was in the Missouri Valley for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be as much breaks given or times where like he's going to have to defer. I think the ball is going to be stuck in his hands a lot more. And if he shoots anywhere near the same percentage, you're going to see like crazy crooked numbers this kid's going to put up. It's not outrageous for me to think he averages 25 a night. The way he shoots the ball, that stupid 1-foot floater he keeps doing too, from like 20 feet out, and it's going in.
That's so hard to do. It's so hard to do that.
A pure shot. It's very pretty. The numbers he can hang are going to be crazy. This is going to be counterintuitive to a lot of everything I've said before. I think Darren Peterson has a good chance at winning it all. Based on kind of what Bill Self was saying over the weekend. Because he's essentially said if Kansas is going to be any good, Peterson's the one to drag him there. If that's the case, then he's going to be putting up some numbers against some very, very good competition. And it's already in a media darling team that they love to put the cameras on all the time. And a good part of winning these awards is being on TV, and Kansas will be on TV a lot more than most other teams. So I think he does.
Or St. John's.
Yeah, he does a lot. I got a couple of outside shots I hear. I got Boogie Fland. I think if everything goes right at Florida and he's able, because he was hurt a good chunk of last year, he stays healthy. I mean, he hung some numbers up on some teams last year. If that shot goes in, he's going to be playing for a better coach who's got a more freer offensive system that isn't so like NBA based. There's a little bit of movement and work into it.
Yeah.
I think is going to benefit.
Not as rigid.
But I think he's got a chance. But and Sam, this is where you're going to disagree with me. I think Braden Smith is. There's a reason he's probably the most likely to win it all, or he's in your top 2 or 3. If you're going to be a point guard on a team that's as good as Purdue is, with already the numbers he's put up, and it's going to be like every other game he's going to be out some career record at Purdue or in the Big Ten or whatever, because he's got a shot to be broken. And if he's going to be the straw that stirs the drink of Purdue. And if he's out there 40 minutes a night doing it and going through the Big Ten as good as I think they're going to be, it doesn't matter if the numbers aren't as high as last year. He's going to be talked about up there, and it's a fairly good chance he wins that with being like the point guard gets a little too much credit sometimes, kind of like the quarterback. It does in football. So sometimes that, like when you're what's widely considered the best player on the best team, sometimes that award defaults to you.
Yeah. So here's where I'm going to say Braden Smith is a possible National Player of the Year candidate, and go along with this. If he comes in and he averages between like 16 and 19 a night and 9 assists, and Purdue is the number 1 seed and they make an Elite 8 Final Four, I think he's the runaway National Player of the Year. And I don't think you question it, because you're right, he's in the driver's seat. What I am hoping is that he does not play the 40 minutes a game. What I'm hoping is that he has the legs to do the 40 minutes a game when they need him to, like the Elite 8 and Final Four, when things start getting really, really tough. And that would mean that the balance on the team has to kind of step up. You have to have your CJ Cox show up and handle the ball. You have to have Omer Meyer buy into the program and handle the ball for Braden when he's off the court. You have to have Jakari and Fletcher step up. I'd love to see it, Jake. I really would. I'd love to see Purdue have another National Player of the Year, but more than anything, I'd like to see us hoist a national title. Your other one, Sturts. Only argument I have, because I do believe you 100%, he is going to shoot the lights out. He's going to have to shoot a lot, and he's also playing in a big boy conference that likes to play defense and likes to be physical. The Big Ten is going to be a lot different than where he's from. So he's going to see some
Iowa's going to have to be better, too. Iowa's going to have to be a decent team. This award doesn't go to a guy that misses the tournament.
No, I mean, he'll be taking a team that hasn't been to the tournament, didn't go to the tournament last year, into the tournament, though, which they're a tournament team, like at least on paper. 2 guys that I want to talk about that you haven't talked about. One is Toppin. I think if you're talking about National Player of the Year, you got to bring up Toppin. Dude is an absolute beast. His brother won it a handful of years ago with Dayton. He is more than capable of winning it, and he's on a team that is going to be dangerous all year. He's going to be on one of those teams that, when Texas Tech hits your schedule, you're like, bless it, here we go. I mean, if you see them in the tournament, you're not going to be happy about it. And the other one, which I'm actually surprised we haven't mentioned, can Duke run it back with a freshman National Player of the Year again? I've watched some of Duke's practice footage. These Boozer boys are freaking nice. They are both nice. I mean, Cam is obviously the well-rounded one, and I think he's going to be the one that has a chance. But, I mean, there's early rumblings that this guy's got National Player of the Year potential. We were saying the same thing about Flagg last year. And this guy, I mean, I think Duke falls in everybody's top 10, maybe top 15, and I think he's the reason, and I think he's going to be the reason why they're in the top 8 at the end of the year. And if Duke pulls a 2 seed in the tournament and are led to the Final Four with Cameron Boozer, that's you gotta take it into consideration.
Yeah,
this is what separated Flagg from Broom last year.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, yeah, I'll give it to him. Now, do I see that happening? No.
I mean,
I don't know if we're going to get there, but
they got Duke magic.
Yeah, but there's a lot on that roster that I'm not sure is worth what people think it's worth. But one that kind of shocked me here that you didn't bring up either is AJ Dubensah, or however you say his name in BYU.
He's going to have sex before the season, and he won't be allowed to play.
I mean, it's a risk you're taking with the BYU guy.
Next.
That was great.
I don't know when I say this is going to get taken way out of context. I don't know that he's as good as everything is coming out. The hype machine is crazy with him. I think he's a very good player. But
he's a lottery pick.
he's going to be arguably top. Like when I'm saying this is top 3 pick, yes, without a doubt. Just size and athleticism, but I haven't seen as much skill as I'd want to out of it. I also think with BYU, the team is not as good, and I think some of those lofty expectations that, like you said, we're seeing everybody have them in the top 10, top 5 of their power rankings is like I think when they come up short, that stink rubs off on him.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be akin to Bailey and Harper for Rutgers last year. You have 2 lottery picks on that team. The team doesn't do much. I think BYU is going to make the tournament. I just don't think they're maybe we're wrong. That's why we're on the bench. But I think this is Rutgers 2.0. Just better, a little more improved.
That's a great. I totally get behind that. That's a great comparison. That's so true in a lot of ways, actually. Like that's very interesting. I'll be curious to see how that plays out. That's a good point.
It's a better constructed roster and
Right, I agree.
better coached. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Rutgers program over the last couple of years. Like I think the
Missed
best player that's
opportunities.
come out of Rutgers, and you guys are going to think I'm crazy. The best college player that's come out of Rutgers is Cam Spencer.
Yeah.
And he didn't get the national love until he was at UConn.
My God,
Right.
if you watch Big Ten basketball, you know exactly who that little shit was.
Yep.
You're not giving it to the other Harper?
Huh?
You're not giving it to Ron Harper Jr.? 'Cause
Ron Harper Jr. had incredibly huge moments. I still think Cam Spencer was like the thorn in everything. Cam Spencer was the Aaron Kraft and Braden Smith of Rutgers. And then when he went to UConn, I was like, thank God we don't have to see him again. And lo and behold, so
Sam bringing the heat. Yes, that's right. I love that. That is so true.
yeah. Brad, who you got? Anybody that you agreed with or disagreed with?
Well, I don't disagree with any of them. That they all sound great. I think that's spot on. I feel like they're definitely contenders. But I love Pettiford from Auburn. I love this kid. I love his ability to dribble in, pop out, hit the J, do the same thing, go to the basket. He literally he can't. I mean, dribble in and pop, lethal. I have notes here. ISO to the basket, lethal. Run the floor with a fast break, lethal. Draw defenders and hitting the open man, lethal. But now he doesn't have Broom on the squad to help distract that defense and have them buckled down underneath the basket to allow him to do some of those things on the perimeter. So now it's just an opportunity for him to really, 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 really shine. But I think if there was a player for a Bruce Pearl system, this kid is it. This is a Bruce Pearl kid. He was born to play for the man. It's like he was bred to play on a Bruce Pearl basketball team. And so I think he'll do as well as Bruce allows him to go, which we've all seen. Bruce loves to ride the hot hand, even at Tennessee. Everything went through Chris Lofton. I mean, everything. This is a whole different, echelon of content here, or of talent. No offense to Chris Lofton, whom I love very much. Pettiford, yeah, I think he's a stud. Like I would love him on my NBA team, the San Antonio Spurs. We don't need a guard because we have 1,000 of them at this point.
You have 1,000.
So if anybody wants one, they go on sale probably, I don't know, around this time next year. But anyway, another conversation, different time. But Pettiford, I think that's who I feel like we're missing out on talking about. What do you all think?
My argument against Pettiford is that if you go spot for spot between him and, like, let's say a Braden Smith, and Braden Smith puts up 16 and 9, and Pettiford puts up 15 and 8 and 6, and Auburn comes in as a 5 seed or a 6 seed in the tournament, and Purdue has a 1, 2, or 3, and Purdue makes a Final Four. I think that's what you beat out in that position. And that's just in that position. I think Pettiford has got the potential to be great on this team, but there's a lot of scoring on this team, so I think it might get lost. And there's a lot of scoring in the conference that might get lost too. That would be my only argument, but I definitely think that he belongs in the discussion of the top 10 people we're looking at for National Player of the Year.
You think his points are louder or quieter than Braden Smith's?
Here's the thing.
They're definitely louder than Braden Smith.
They're louder, but they're not as important, if that makes sense. Because I think this team's got plenty of scoring around him. There are times when Braden Smith has to take over a game, and I don't think Pettiford's going to have to do that. Like sometimes when Braden Smith hits that 15-foot jumper, I think it's an important 15-foot jumper. when he hits that three, like midway through the second half, it's like an important three. Whereas I don't think Pettiford's is gonna. I think everything else that Pettiford do is gonna be more important outside of his scoring because he can score. Everybody knows he can score. Like
So I
everybody
just
knows Braden Smith can pass. I think his points are gonna be very important. Like it's like if Braden Smith is out there hunting, that's an important thing for him to be doing. Whereas Pettiford, you know he can hunt. You know he's out there with his rifle, right? Nobody's.
for the Auburn fans out there, you better hope Sam's wrong. Because I think Pettiford is needed, and he needs to be the man for
They've
this.
got two guys that average nearly 20 points a game on that team. One of them was from a D2 school. But
Yeah,
between Elijah Freeman and Keyshawn Hall, you've got roughly 19 points per game apiece. Whether that translates into big boy SEC play, I'm not sure. But Pettiford's going to have some options there. And I think that's going to be the same thing with Braden Smith. I think there's going to be options there. I think that's what opens you up to your Toppins and your Sturts. Sturts, if
Yes.
you're basing it on scoring, I'm not 100% sure if Sturts is going to be able to distribute the ball quite the way he's going to need to in the Big Ten because it's going to be a lot tougher. There's going to be a lot meaner defenses and a lot more contact. But that kid can shoot. I mean, he's within range right now from wherever he is to wherever he's going.
The thing is with Pettiford is a little bit of the consistency. I know he was a freshman, but he had some wild swings, right? Like he had shut out, like at the end of the year, the last game he shut out by Tennessee, scores 5 against Ole Miss, but he also then dropped 19 on Alabama and Texas A&M and 21 on Kentucky. He may have grown or not, but he's in a conference that has too many great defensive coaches with Golden, Beard, Barnes, those guys that can absolutely take and eliminate a player from a game. And I think that's unfortunate for him because, I mean, even once he gets into the postseason, like he went nuts on some not weaker defenses, but not as like physical defenses. But it's just he runs into those physical defenses and disappeared last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, Florida held him to 7, Tennessee shuts him out, and Ole Miss has 5. But then he goes for 20 against Michigan, 23 against Creighton, and 10 against Michigan State. Like so, it's I don't know if he can level that out and the 19, 20, 15 points or whatever he averages in a game is a consistent 15 and not 31 night and 0 the next night stuff, he has a lot better chance, but I think he's going to yo-yo back and forth too much.
I feel like you just described every Bruce Pearl team of all time. They're all like that. They all do the same thing. That's all. That's the way that cookie crumbles every time. Which now I could nerd out on that all day long. The high risk, high reward. But I do feel like that Pettiford has a great opportunity here with this squad to be the man.
Yeah.
He's still young too.
Yeah, I mean, he was a freshman when he was doing all that.
Yeah.
So, like getting used to the level of play is the thing. So I don't want to pin that year and say, oh, he's
sure.
I could very easily see him yo-yoing again on a team, especially on a team like Auburn, like Sam said, that has scoring everywhere.
I'll say this: if he yo-yos, he's costing himself millions of dollars.
Well, he's making millions right now.
Oh, true. More millions at the next level sooner if he does kind of revert back to that yo-yo mentality. I mean, I don't know. I think those are all strong candidates, and I'm excited to watch. And what's fun, some of these guys will be clashing against each other.
I was gonna say, one more that I've got before I round out this a little bit. Anybody got Yaxel as a potential National Player of the Year?
I have a hard time picking big guys.
Because they win it every other year?
Say what?
Because they win it every other year?
Oh, it's just, I mean, they were like, what? It was Edie, and then after that, it's been all guards, really.
It's been Edie, Garza, Zion, Kaminsky.
Okay.
Did AD win it?
But that was 2012, Lord.
Yeah.
We're going back. We're going back like 13 years, and I've already named 5.
Sam, hang on a minute.
But okay, Garza was also shooting from deep like crazy.
Was it Toppin?
I'm not, but what I'm saying is, the nasty buckets don't get the love, the media love. Like Garza's throwing up 90 points and he's hitting 7 threes. Like Edie was different because he's a literal giant for freaking Goliath out there, and was
Gotta love it, Kia.
very numbers. But like those other big guys, like even Kaminsky, he's shooting 3 balls and stuff like that. Like Yaxel doesn't have as much of that to his game, at least that I think he's needed. He's got to be something special, highlight reel special. And I don't know that he's highlight reel special. I think he's good enough to. Now, if this was just based on talent, I think for sure. I just don't think he's getting enough love outside of like people that actually watch it and know the game.
They're definitely worth the chat because he's my Portal King and I'm plugging him. So
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
So, okay, as they kind of round this out, this is pretty interesting. Jake, you made a comment earlier about the point guard being like kind of that sexy pick, like getting that attention, right? There's been 5 point guards in the past 20 years that have won the Naismith Men's College Player of the Year. Can you all name them?
no, probably not.
If you can't, that's okay. It's because I've forgotten about a couple of these. Okay,
Start firing them off.
Jalen Brunson,
Yeah, I was gonna say Jalen Brunson would probably be the only one I really know.
Frank Mason
It's-
III,
That's the only one I was going to mention.
Great Nova team.
Trey Burke
Did Burke
from
win?
Michigan.
I didn't realize Trey Burke won one.
That's what it. I mean, that's what that's what Copilot says. I mean, I googled it because I was curious about that because I thought that was an interesting point. And then this one is a classic for any college basketball fan. We talked about the team earlier. A lot of hype, a lot of media hype.
Trey Burke won the National Player of the Year in 12. Wow.
Who? You all got to guess. 2011.
Shire?
No.
No.
No, good pick. He stocky guard, muscly. SportsCenter loved him. ESPN loved his ass.
Jimmer?
Jimmer Fredette.
And he was like the prototype that Ben Sturtz was built on.
Yeah.
100%. And of course, right outside of the 20-year window is Jameer Nelson for St. Joseph's, and that was in 2004.
There is some size in the National Player of the Years for the last 20 years, though. If you look at, I mean, you got Edie's, you got.
Okay.
So hang on.
Well, I'm being taking a look. Like, I don't just mean point guards. I'm saying guard play gets.
Yeah, guard play.
I got you. That makes more sense because I thought that was like damn. Okay,
That's good, like,
Yeah, that's what I heard because I was like, nah, there's been a lot of size in the.
no, like
National
Cooper
Player of the
Flagg
Year.
has got size to him, but he's not a post.
He's a guard.
Yeah,
Or
but, like,
small forward for as
Yeah,
big as
I
he
mean,
was.
same thing with Zion. Like, you're not calling him a post player. Like, like.
You also
Well-
not calling him a guard.
So I also looked up over the past 20 years, there have been 6 centers who have won the Naismith Men's College Player of the Year.
Is it 6 individuals? Because, like.
We have Edie twice. Okay, whatever. We all know that.
Edie, Davis, Comiskey, Garza. Edie, Comiskey, Davis, Garza. I'm not sure if we can count Zion. Zion.
No, you're one away.
Who's the other one? Wouldn't be Toppin. Who's the other big? It's not, and you can't really count
Give me a conference.
T either.
Somebody else from this guy's conference is on this list. Anthony Davis, Frank Kaminsky, Luke Garza, Zach Edey twice, and then this other person.
Team?
SEC.
Kentucky? Who's the big from Kentucky that I'm missing?
Y'all are gonna be pissed.
Town.
Nope.
Towns was in the discussion, but he never won it. Or did he? Did Towns win it?
No.
You definitely would have been a center.
And okay, this person, his first name holds the same as a Sesame Street character.
Big Bird Johnson.
The old Cookie Monster.
Oscar Tshiebwe. Remember that guy?
God, that was recent.
He didn't deserve Player of the Year. He was
That
another
dude
freaking
was
try.
so annoying.
That was like right before Edie, wasn't it?
He was big and could rebound. That was it. Nothing
Was
else.
that the year before Edie's first?
Probably.
Wait, what'd you say, Sam?
Was that the 2-year?
Yeah.
That's another.
God,
good
how did I
player.
miss that?
Yeah, so
Because he wasn't. I will die on this hill. He was not that good. He was just blessed with size and tried hard. That's it.
I agree.
Like him, Joe
Kinda like
Noah,
Tyler
Tyler Hansbrough, just blessed with size and could try.
I'll die on the hill that I would take Tyler Hansborough over some of the folks that.
I'm not. Like I said, being blessed with size and trying hard is a great thing. It can get you very successful, but it does not make you a great player.
Forgot all about Oscar.
Well, we try hard on this podcast, and we do a great job. So
We do average at best.
we're doing our thing. Now, we have to do our famous, world-renowned segment called Bench Behavior. And make sure when you tell your friends about bench behavior that you say it clearly, because if you are slurring in any way, it can come off very offensive to folks. So this is called bench behavior.
Yeah, we got to be real careful with this one because in this bench behavior, we're going to talk about a 1.5 inch wide to 6 to 8 inch long phallus-shaped
Exercise toy?
object that is used as a block for an oar in a boat that has a town in Newfoundland, Canada named after it, and you folks have defiled it. And now they're winding up on WNBA courts all over the country. Question to me is, how did they get them in there?
That's what I'm saying. That has to come across as a security risk.
Do we want to know?
Look, you just walk in with your gray sweatpants and you just carry it in like you do with the catfish in Nashville and the squid in Detroit or whatever the heck they is. Like the fact that those people can get those things in, this doesn't surprise me. Those smell bad.
Yeah, I think people like in the hockey world see a squid and they kind of turn a blind eye. I don't know how you turn a blind eye to a 8 inch monster green. Somebody's getting that in there the unconventional way, and I think that's the bench behavior that we don't want to talk about.
Yeah,
Correct.
let's leave that one off.
All respect to Dildo, Newfoundland. It is a fantastic place. I had beers there. I'm wearing a shirt from that lovely town. It's got the sign and everything. Very sad for society that we defiled an object that is used for, boats and fishing and things like that. However, now it's being used as a catalyst for either attacking the WNBA or drawing more attention, because I can't tell which it is right now. But
My favorite part of this whole situation is watching everybody try to write articles on it without mentioning what it is.
yeah,
And it's just how close can we get to saying it without saying it?
It's so true. Right.
Yeah,
Listen, here's the bottom line, though. We need to leave Miss Cunningham alone. She's over there hooping. She's defending Caitlin Clark, which is the crux of all success in the WNBA. So she's doing the Lord's work there in Indiana. So we need to make sure that we keep her protected for many reasons.
yeah. Make dildos personal again. How about that?
There you go.
Don't share with your friends.
Leave them out of already controversial WNBA season with everything going on.
Listen, fans,
Clean it up.
keep your activities in the drawer, okay?
Clean it up.
Something else to keep in the drawer is your mouth, Hugh Freeze, and your choice of words. Because you, sir, might be the most tone-deaf individual in the collegiate coaching sphere. Jake, what do you have to say about girth being used in a SEC conference?
Okay.
Was it media days, right?
Great
Yeah,
dildos, by the way.
It leads
Listen,
right in. Like,
Great radio here.
I mean, he said, you needed length and girth to make it through the SEC, and I mean,
Don't think he's wrong.
I don't disagree, but maybe not. There's probably different ways to say that, and
There
I'm
is
not even sure
so many different ways.
Like it's just
Did he use his burner to make that reference?
I think that came straight out of his mouth,
Okay.
and that was just unfortunate words. Especially, this only would have been better if that was Bobby Petrino that said it. That's the only thing I wish would have happened different. Hugh Freeze saying it in Auburn is hysterical in its own right, but if that's Bobby Petrino, that would have I would still be crying.
I thought about that's funny. Yes.
I will honest to God say, Jake saying length and girth out of a coach's mouth was not on my bingo card today.
Yeah. Well, neither is the Illinois roster.
Yeah, we still need our weekly. Once in season comes along, we're just gonna have to pepper Jake with, hey, read the Illinois stats.
That's right.
And
First,
here's our translator, Patinka Melikalova.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
but look,
Okay.
make sure people don't think we're just homers here. This whole Tennessee video, blurring out a quarterback that threw the interception because you want to highlight the interception, but come on, how
What are we doing?
How mentally weak are your quarterbacks that they can't take a little heat for throwing an interception? Like in practice, like that's where you're supposed to throw them.
Or the fact that DB made a hell of a play.
Yeah.
Like it was a great shot. Like it was a great play.
And then blur out the quarterback. Now that's what
You
everybody's
guys have
talking
enough quarterback issues after the whole Nico extravaganza.
about. It's embarrassing.
Well, then we had On3 and, different local stations talking about it. And, of course, the flagship stations that are Tennessee affiliates had nothing to say anything about it. And it was a thing. Like, it was a trending thing. And this whole, Blurgate, the fact that there's a title to it just shows what Vol Twitter is capable of. We obviously are very strong, and we're in a large mass of people and influence. But still, this Blurgate thing is a mess. But at the same time, I have to say this. Maybe this just means I'm garbage, but I kind of respect the hustle of the program trying to blur out that person. Like, I think I kind of respect it in a way.
I will say this about the Tennessee media team. They've done a hell of a lot better job of blurring things out than the WNBA. Because some of the things that we've seen on the court here recently probably deserved a little bit of the Tennessee football program's media team's attention.
Listen, hey, Tennessee media,
you can afford them.
We're just giving you a leg up for your resume, okay?
Yep.
Maybe a third leg up. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what we're trying to do here.
Like, at what point does it not become funny? Like, I was trying to think about that earlier. Like, at what point do I stop?
I'm a child. Like, I'm an ignorant person.
It's always going to be funny to me. Not that I want to encourage that to happen. I do not want. Please don't go out there and do it anymore. But it will be. I will laugh at it.
Please stop it.
Publicly, I will say, for the love of God, clean it up. But then also, I couldn't help but chuckle when somebody said, "Hey, somebody can get hurt with that thing," and I was like, "Yeah,
that is a weapon."
I mean, there's a visual down there. Yeah. Somebody did get hurt, I think. So, oof.
That's painful. But listen, I know we all heard the whistle. We all heard Coach's voice. We're not paying attention. We never do.
I got the water bottle filled up, boys. We're good to go.
Our time to check in. So let's go clean this mess up. AK, finish the game out, being up by 30, and just make this a show for the crowd. This is Bench Points. And if you made it this far, you're already part of the Bench Mob. So hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more chaos. Bench Points is on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you pretend to know ball.